More than 125 years ago, a young Bahamian came to the United States and then to the Miami area. He walked and worked in the streets of Miami and helped Miami to become the city that it is today. Today, one of these streets bear his name.
Surrounded by the John Blue Band. Today, as we co-designate Northwest First Court between 5th Street and 8th Street, Alexander C. Lightbourne Place. At this moment, I would like to call the Honor Guard, which will display and present the colors.
Carry, color. Forward, hut, 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 hut. Left turn, hut, 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 hut. Detail, halt. Freeze it! Who?
At this moment, Derek Moore, principal of Brownsville Middle School, will be doing the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order! Who?
You may have a seat. Honor guard dismissed.
Aye. Peace. Forward. Hut. 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 Hut.
At this moment, Ms. Henry to present the Black National Anthem.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun, let us march on till victory is won.
They ask, what's your family? Thank you. And some of us, we need to learn too, when you meet somebody, men and women, you want to learn about their family history too. History is important. You know, and as we look around our city, you know, I guess, you know, a lot of history has been buried. And when you're missing history, you're missing a big part of yourself. So with that said, we have built buildings on top of bones and left grave sites without headstones. And we've said to ourselves, just leave it alone. The past is the past. That's what we say. But how can the past be the past when you see the same things today? It's the same old bondage and the same old pain, the same old mindsets and the same old chains got us shackled to the past and living like slaves, and we don't even know who's buried in those graves. Amen. Can't you hear the voices of the dead crying out from the ground because the history of their lives is nowhere to be found? Their stories have been covered and hidden in dirt, and the children cry out from the pain and the hurt of not knowing who they are or where they come from. It's the same old story to which we become numb. They say that those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it, yet we become so conceited into thinking that history doesn't matter. While the voices from the past haunts us, we're caught up in needless chatter. Are we so concerned about getting our pockets fatter and climbing the corporate ladder? I don't know about you, but I hear the pit-pit-pat in my dreams, footsteps in the darkness and silent screams. There's no escape from what has not been resolved. Hidden mysteries from the past, yet to be solved. History shouldn't be a mystery. So why do we cover up and hide our history? It's time to cease the cover up and the hiding of bones. May the voices of the forgotten finally be known. Tell their stories to the youth. No more lies. It's time to build upon truth. Face our fears, heal through the pain, remember from whence we came, and stop building pretty buildings to cover our shame. It's time to walk in faith, love not hate, make peace before it's too late, tear down the walls that divide, forgive one another, lay aside the pride, put the pieces of the puzzle in place, fragmented memories from our past, emotions displaced. It's time to restore the dignities to the families that cry out from the pain. Remember Lemon City, Bowles Town, Knightsville, and Nazarene. Remember the price they paid, the sacrifices they made. Honor their lives and voices that cry out from the grave. Let's celebrate their legacies and don't leave them out. From the rooftop we shout. No more left out and left behind. No more left out and left behind. No more left out and left behind. Should be etched in our minds and recorded in the annals of our city's history. Today we shine light on darkness for the whole world to see, and never ever forget that history shouldn't be a mystery.
So happy to see everyone here. I'd like to acknowledge our former state representative, James Bush, who is here also celebrating with us. And I bring you greetings from County Commissioner Keon Hardeman, as well as State Representative Ashley Gant, who both that were unable to attend and both asked me to congratulate on their behalf. I have taken the opportunity to read all about Mr. Lightbourne, and he was an amazing man. The things that he has done for our community, his legacy that he has left, and being a founding member of the city of Miami, the list goes on and on with his accomplishments. And I just said, wow. What an honor to be here as a part of this and making this happen, because it's so important. And I'm sure he was the kind of person that really wouldn't be oppressed by this, but that his family and our community, and just like Mr. Allen said, our history shouldn't be a mystery. And that was so beautiful. And I don't know if you know, but he is an artist of many mediums. I've had the privilege to see some of his work, and what you just said up here was so beautiful. Thank you to the family for this honor. We cannot forget our history, and it should never be a mystery. And thanks to this designation, our kids will know for generations to come. Thank you.
At this moment, I have the honor of introducing historian preservationist Dr. Pinckney.
Thank you. I bring you greetings from the Curtis Foundation Corporation, the Historic Hampton House Community Trust. We're proud to be one of the sponsors and help to coordinate the sponsorship committee. We're a new organization, and we're trying to celebrate the history of Miami and preserve Black communities, such as Overtown, Brownsville, and other historic communities. I want to thank the other sponsors of this event, such as the City of Miami and Commissioner King, the Greater Miami Convention Bureau, Miami-Dade County, the Lemon City Cemetery Community Corporation. We have more history to celebrate and reveal. Thank all of you for coming. There's one person, and she has been the middle person between me and the city, and I'm telling you, y'all, everybody needs to thank her, because I wanted to do it my way, and then, it wasn't going my way, and then I'm talking to her, and she, is trying to work out everything and be at peace. But I can't be at peace when I want it my way. So I would like for Ann Marie Henry come up here. She worked like a Trojan. And I don't want her to get discouraged. You know, this is a discouraging work. Come up here, Ann. This is discouraging work, and before you get to like now, but see the results. It's the results of all this hard work. Beautiful. Yes. Okay. And this is from me to you. For all the nerves that I was shaking on you. And I just want you to know that we appreciate, and all the people here appreciate you too. Everyone here, we're grateful to you as I present these dozen roses to you. I really enjoyed working with you, and we got another project we're going to do. We'll talk about that later too. But I appreciate Commissioner King being here, being present to see the effort of what has been put forth and what we will continue to do with your cooperation, because it was with your permission that we could do it. So you gave us the permission to work, and as long as you give us permission to work, we will work. Thank you.
Miami-Dade County for the honor they have bestowed on my great-great-grandfather, Alexander C. Lightbourne. These are the streets he walked 127 years ago on his way to this church he founded. These are the streets where he gave his speeches. The streets that he walked to ensure that black children were given equal access to education. It is only fitting that these streets be named for him. So my family and I want to say thank you once more for this honor. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everybody. I couldn't stand here and represent the Ziegler clan without the Zieglers up here with me. Would my most senior sister come up, please? This is Winifred. My next, when I say senior sisters, I'm introducing the ones who are older than me. My next senior sister, Pauline. Okay, now I get a chance to go to the babies. Okay, Rose, my sister Rose. And Pat. We have a sister that's missing today, Charity. Charity is missing, and Charity would be the baby, I think. Charity would be the baby. And I especially want to extend my appreciation to Miss Enid Pinckney. You know, one of the proudest moments I had serving as a commissioner for Miami-Dade County was appointing Miss Pinckney to the Historic Preservation Board. This woman is an advocate for black people and black history and will not let it go. So Miss Pinckney, and you cannot say no to her. She called me and she says what she wants, and the answer is, I'm not gonna say no. And Commissioner, I just want to thank you for granting us the permission to have this. And I couldn't help but listen to your remarks regarding the fact this is elaborate. It is not. It is not. It is underwhelming based on what is deserved. And the reason that I say it's not elaborate, because 16 years as a commissioner, I also attended a lot of street namings. And in Little Havana and in Kendall, you saw twice as many people catered food, balloons everywhere. So we have to honor our own and not let it be undermined by saying that, you know, it's only a street naming and you only deserve this. We deserve the best. When you think about the history of Miami-Dade County, the history of Miami-Dade County was built on the backs of our people. Of our people. Coconut Grove is historic. Our family is historic. I cannot thank enough Anne Marie for having Christine chase me down in the grocery store to tell me, so she could meet with me and tell me my family history. Not her family history, my family history. And the fact that my great-great-grand-uncle was one of the founders of the city of Miami. He, along with over 100 more black men. Did you read about it in the history books? Did you read about it in the history books? But they say that they're gonna try and make sure there's no woke in the state of Florida. Our history has been buried in the past, but we cannot allow it to be buried in the future. And I just feel very special today because my sisters are here. My sisters are here. We're here honoring Mary Ziegler. Mary Ziegler, who met her husband in Quincy, Florida. Our father is from Quincy, was born in Quincy. Born in Quincy. And because of that relationship, because of that meeting, because of A.C. Lightbourne, who served not just as a state representative during the Reconstruction period, but the Sergeant of Arms, appointed as a Justice of the Peace. He was a teacher, but Mary was also a community activist. Women couldn't vote during that time, but they needed 300 people in order to make sure that they could incorporate the city of Miami, and they didn't have enough of the other ethnic group to do that. So who did they call on? Black men. So let's stand proud, everybody. Let's stand strong and be proud of the history that we have. And Anne Marie, Christine, where are you? Keith, these are the historians who work every day. They don't get paid for what they do, but they look up our history and they keep it special. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for caring and sharing. Thank you.
Thank you. Until the lions tell their story, tales of the hunt will continue to glorify the hunter. It was 1974 when I was preparing for the bicentennial. Now, that's before many of you were not born yet, and those who were born were very little. But I was assigned to an all-white school, Myrtle Grove Elementary in Opelika. It was all white at the time. And I wanted those children to know something about local black history. I knew that my family had been here a while. I didn't know how long. I know my mother and her siblings were born in Overtown, Colored Town. But I thought to teach is to learn twice. So if I can get some books from the downtown library written by black people, then I will be able to read those books and learn and teach that information to the children. What I didn't know was that thought and the actions that would come later would change my life and the life of the entire community, Miami-Dade County and South Florida, as it relates to black history. So I made the phone call because I had a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old and a then husband, I said then, who was in law school. Your hearing is still good. And so I had lots to do, and I didn't want to have to, it was too much. I was accustomed to calling the library, downtown library, and requesting books for my teachers, social studies, language arts, whatever they needed, and getting about 15 or 20 books. So I expected to get the same thing this time. Tell me when I can come and pick the books up. So I called and told the library clerk what I wanted. She put me on hold. Seemed like an enormous length of time. And she came back and she said, this is 1974 now. She said, well, I looked around and the card catalog, you all remember Dewey catalog? Yes. You older than I thought. Young chippies looking out there. So she said, we only have a folder with obituaries about black people. Huh? She repeated it. She said, we only have a folder with obituaries about black people. I said, this is the downtown library, the main library for the entire county. How many books do you have? She said, oh, I guess about 10,000. And I said, you only have a folder with obituaries? Why? Always ask the why. And so her answer changed my life and the life of the entire community. And she said, and I quote, I guess those people haven't thought enough of themselves to write their history. I couldn't dispute her. Not because I didn't think that I knew what she was saying was not true as far as people thinking about themselves. But I thought about 100 years ago, 150 years ago, when blacks were not allowed to read and write, and the good white people who tried to help were punished, and just all the atrocities that the community has gone through. But that's no excuse. And so I continued to question her. And finally, she was so, I guess, frustrated with me that she said, well, why don't you call the Historical Museum of Southern Florida? So I said, what is that? She said, oh, all the 4th grade children go there. That's where they learn about Florida history. So I said, well, I was at Phyllis Wheatley Elementary School in 4th grade, and then I went to Booker T. Washington and Overtown and graduated. I never heard of that. And I could hear what she was thinking. That's not my fault. She said, well, why don't you call them? She was hoping to get me off her back. She said, give them a call and see what they say. They've been in business for more than 40 years, and certainly they will have something on black history. And so I made the call. Dr. Thelma Peters answered, said at the time that she was a retired teacher from Edison Senior High School. She had gone to the University of Florida and earned a PhD in history and come back, and that she was waiting on her friend Arva Moore Parks, who was then in Tallahassee hiring the new director for History Miami. Long story short, I was able to get myself reassigned as a employee of Dade County Public Schools to the administration building for the purpose of writing a book about black history. They gave me 2 years, and the conditions were, if you will agree, 1 day to do research on blacks, 1 day a week to do research on women from Tequesta, any school that called to make a presentation. Will you do that? Oh yes, I'll do it. I have not written the book yet, but what I did do was to establish and create with the will and the guidance of God, the Almighty, the Block Archives, History and Research Foundation of South Florida. And I've been able to save the Lyric Theater. I'm going over this afternoon. I've asked them to pull out the pictures that show the Lyric when I first saw it in the early 70s without the roof, with the pigeons flying in and out, with the homeless defecating in there, to look at it to where it is now. Well, I was assigned to the Historical Museum of Southern Florida when it was across the street from Vizcaya. And one of my uncles, my mother's oldest brother, Dr. S.H. Johnson, the first black radiologist, medical doctor with a specialty in radiology, said to me, because I was very unsettled with all of this, here I am, a school librarian, a reading teacher, there are no books about blacks, there's no information. I took it personally. And so in conversation, he said to me, well, you're at the Historical Museum, see if they have a copy of the charter for the city of Miami. Okay, so I asked, and they said no one had ever asked for it. So he said, but listening and watching Mr. Jeter Walker, who built the Lyric Theater, so my family knew Mr. Jeter Walker, he said, and the men who were sitting out playing checkers were always laughing and talking and bragging that they helped Miami become a city. He said, see if you can find out what they were talking about, because they were always so happy about it and so proud. And so I mentioned it to Dr. Thelma Peters and Randy Nimnick, who was the executive director of the Historical Museum at the time. We got in my Volkswagen and went to the city. And the city clerk, I asked for the charter. They said, no, they didn't have it. And then when I went home, I mentioned it to my uncle, Judge John D. Johnson, second black judge in Miami, fourth in the state of Florida. He said, well, no, the city wouldn't have it. He said it was created through the county. So go to Mr. Richard Brinker, clerk of the court, who was the predecessor of our late Harvey Rubin. He said, go to Mr. Richard Brinker and tell him you Judge Johnson's niece and see what he can do for you. So I did, and Mr. Brinker 2 weeks later called me. Now, what we were looking for in that original charter was, in fact, we wanted to see if what the men were bragging about was true. You know, I always have to have evidence. Folks can say whatever they want, but I need to see the record. And we wanted to see more than that, or equal to that, whether or not the black men could read or write. So I was looking to, and next to each man's name is his race. Well, for me, a budding historian then, that was even better than seeing the signature. Because I knew then who was black and who was white, and it is from that document that, of course, I put in the Block Archives as a part of the collection, that Dr. Marvin Dunn, when he was doing his book, he came to the 7th floor of the Caleb Center. Representative Bush will know we were on the 7th floor at one time. And he used that in his book. And so it's starting to be used. It is from his book, I think, that Anne Marie and Keith and Christine got their information. And so I had to give you that history to let you know how we got here. But now I'm going to do something that I must do. And that is to introduce you to people who, on their own, who nights and weekends because of their interest and dedication, have lifted that one name that it was one among many that I got. I did read that in Coyne's book, Isidore Coyne's book, that it was A.C. Lightbourne that made the best speech for the incorporation. But these three people who, they're not connected to Bethel Church, they're not connected to the Black Archives, they're not connected to, they're not, as far as I know, they were not connected to anything but to Black history and truth. The mayor, the governor wants to know about truth. What should we teach the children? These are the young people who have pulled that one bit of information that I got in 1974, 75, and have now moved it to this day, and will move it forward. Please come up. Keith Moore, Anne Marie Henry, Christine Malcolm.
One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours, it will be ours. Oh, one day, when the war is won, we will be sure, we will be sure. Oh, glory, glory, glory. Oh, glory.
Hands to the heavens, no man, no weapon formed against. Yes, glory is destined. Everyday women and men become legends. Sins that go against our skin become blessings. The movement is a rhythm to us. Freedom is like religion to us. Justice is juxtaposition in us. Justice for all just ain't specific enough. One son died, his spirit is revisiting us. True and living in us. Resistance is us. That's why Rosa sat on the bus. That's why we walk through America with our hands up. When it go down, we woman and man up. They say stay down, and we stand up. Shots we on the ground, the camera panned up. King pointed to the mountaintop, and we ran up.
One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours, it will be ours. Oh, one day, when the war is won, we will be sure, we will be sure. Oh, glory. Now the war is not over, victory isn't won, but we'll fight on to the finish. Then when it's all done, we'll cry glory, oh glory, oh glory, we'll cry glory, oh glory, One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours. It will be ours. Oh, one day, when the war is won, we will be sure. So sure. We will be sure. So sure.